Hey you guys, how's it going? Decivye here, and welcome back to another Microsoft Flight Simulator tutorial video. Today you guys, we are going to be talking about runway numbers and headings in general. I read a lot of your comments on my videos, and there seems to be a number of you who's still confused as to which direction I know to fly in and what heading I know to turn to and stuff like that when I'm doing my traffic patterns. You guys are always asking how do you know which heading to turn when you're turning base, when you're turning downwind, when you're turning crosswind, final, etc., etc. And there are also comments that ask me how do you know which way a runway's heading is and stuff like that. So I'm gonna answer that in this video. Today's video is gonna be like just all about headings and runway headings in general. So if you guys don't know yet, any idea about heading and stuff, stick around. But if you guys know or get the general idea of runway headings and headings in general, probably not the video for you. But yeah, this is a beginner's guide for those of you who do not know much about headings. So stick around. Before we begin this tutorial though, I'd like to invite you guys again to join the Discord server. Links will be in the description below. We're having a blast. And if you guys want to support me as a content creator as well, links in the description below again on how you guys can do that. Again, donations are not required or anything, but they're highly appreciated. Alright you guys, without further ado, let's get started. Alright you guys, I'd like to start off first by talking about runway numbers. You guys notice how before you fly, you have to enter an active runway, and these runways have numbers assigned to them. They could be runway 24, runway 09, runway 30, and just to let you guys know, these are not randomly assigned numbers, right? The reason why they have these numbers is because they correspond to a certain heading. For example, if you are taking off of runway 24, your heading, or the runway heading, is actually 240. So pretty much, if you want to get a runway's heading, all you need to do is add another 0 to the end of the number. So for example, if you are taking off on runway 09, then your heading would be 090. If you're taking off from runway 30, your heading would be 300. You're pretty much just adding a 0 at the end of the runway number, and that's pretty much the heading you are going to fly or maintain for that specific runway. Alright? So now that that's clear, let's get into heading. Like, what is heading, right? And the easiest way I can explain this is to think of a compass, right? A compass is 360 degrees, north being 000, east being 090, south being 180, west 270, right? And just to give you a better illustration on that, I'm gonna go ahead and switch this panel over to nav mode. That way you could see. And then we could zoom in here. Alright. Boom. And you can see the heading around it, right? So currently I am in Bali International Airport, right? I am situated in runway 27. So our heading is going to be around 270, roughly, give or take, plus or minus 1 or 2 degrees, right? We're facing towards the west. This is north, because 00 is here. This is east, 090. This is south, because that's 180. So pretty much heading is just think of a compass, 360 degrees, and if you're facing 270, it's west. If you're facing 360 or 000, that's north. If you're facing 090, that's east. 180 is south. And I could switch to a better view there, the actual compass, right? So you could see 27, we're in runway 270. You could see our aircraft is facing the west direction, and if we were taking off from runway 36, we'd be facing north. If we were taking off from 09, that's east. 18180, that's south. Pretty much that's it. So the heading correlates to a certain degree on your compass. That's essentially, you know, what heading is, and that's pretty much the basic way, or the easiest way I could explain it to you guys. So hopefully that little small illustration I just showed you with the instrument panel helped explain it a little bit better. And if you guys want to know how to switch to this tab, it's this selector over here. So you could switch it from plan to arc to nav to VFR. We normally fly in arc, but yeah, just if you guys didn't know and want to learn how to switch the panel here, yeah, that's how you do it. So now that we got that covered, I want to touch up on traffic patterns, right? So I'm gonna open a VFR map, and I see a lot of your comments, right? Like saying, how do you know which heading to turn to? How do you know, is it because you've been to that specific airport so you just know like your way around it? But like, how do you know which heading to turn to, right? For your approach and all that stuff. Pretty much. So let's take a look at it, right? We're facing 270. Now each turn in your traffic pattern is going to be 90 degrees. So you're taking off from 270 and you want to turn to crosswind. Left side crosswind is subtract 90 degrees. And then you subtract 90 degrees again to turn to downwind. Subtract 90 degrees again to get your base, and subtract 90 degrees again to get your final. That's essentially it. You're just subtracting 90 degrees per turn, right? And if you're doing right hand side circuits, so this way, right, you would be adding 90 degrees. So left side to the left is subtracting, to the right here you're adding. Pretty much, that's pretty much it. So I think it was in my Hong Kong flight where I saw a comment wherein he was asked, one of my viewers were asking, how do I know which heading to turn, and all that stuff. So it's calculated. So if I was, let's say, let's do this one for example. I've never flown or been in Bali, so this is a completely new airport to me. How do I know how to get by? Well, first I need to know where I'm landing in, right? So if I know I'm going to land in runway 27, I can start calculating for my downwind heading, my base heading, and my crosswind heading as well if I would need to, you know. But if you were coming in, what I like to do is I would like to overfly the aircraft, and I just join the downwind leg. So once I'm satisfied with the distance, so let's say we were coming from the south direction, I'd fly here, overfly a little bit over here. If I'm happy, turn to our downwind heading, then boom, then just join it just like that, and then base, and then final. Pretty much that's how I like to do my approach. And especially if you're flying VFR, because if you're flying IFR, you're just pretty much following air traffic control and all that stuff. But if you're following VFR, it's actually important to get the headings of your downwind, your crosswind, your base, so you could plan your approach, you know, better. Like you could plan for better approaches, and essentially that's what it is. So I hope this is coming into you guys clear. I hope it's not too much, but yeah, essentially you could pre-plan all the headings, like during your final approach or your final descent rather. You could get all the headings, and I'll even show you guys how I fly without the VFR map, because it is possible. There was, again, reading the comments, there was someone saying, is it cheating to use the VFR map? You know, first of all, no, it's not cheating to use the VFR map, because in real life, pilots would have their iPad and they would just use that to know where they're positioned at and stuff. So use the VFR map if you don't have an iPad to track your exact position. It's not cheating, but I mean, just for demonstration purposes for this video, I'm gonna be closing my VFR map, and I'm just gonna be flying off, you know, pure heading calculations and stuff, right? And that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys, you know, got a better understanding to, you know, how I do my approaches and how I essentially how I run things on my descent and stuff. I'm gonna be showing you an actual traffic pattern with all the headings and stuff in a moment. Yeah, but I just wanted to explain pretty much what I do with my headings and stuff. So yeah, Now we can actually move on to the actual flight. We're going to be doing a traffic pattern again in an area that I'm not familiar with, which is Bali, Indonesia. I've never flown here before again, and we're going to be closing our VFR map, and I'm just going to be doing this purely on heading. So we're situated here. We're at runway 27, okay? And I'm going to be doing left-hand circuits, so meaning every turn I make for my crosswind, for my downwind, for my base position, I'm going to be subtracting 90 degrees off my current heading. Now I have the autopilot set up at 270 because we're taking off at runway 27. So our base heading will just be 270 less 90, and our crosswind rather, because we're taking off, our crosswind heading will be 270 less 90. Our downwind will be obviously opposite of runway 27. So opposite of runway 27 is going to be what? 09. So that will be our downwind heading, and then our base heading is going to be 090. Just subtract another 90 degrees, so that's probably 000, and so on and so forth, subtracting and subtracting and subtracting until we make our approach. But we'll go through that as we go through the flight, right? So first, let's do our takeoff roll. I'm gonna go ahead and set. Actually, yeah, no, yeah. You know what? We're gonna leave it. So disengage, parking brake. I'm gonna set our flight level to 5,000 feet for this flight. And we're going to perform our takeoff roll. I'm not going to go into details on, how to take off the aircraft and how to use the autopilot, because I've done videos already on those before. So if you guys have not seen them, I'd recommend you check them out on how I use the autopilot, how I set up the ILS and all that stuff. I even have ILS set up for this flight. It's already inputted on the system, and I'm not going to be showing you again how I do that. Just go ahead and watch my previous videos, right? We forgot to click on our heading select rather, so we need to be tracking 270. Okay. So 270 less 90 degrees is 180, right? That's going to be our crosswind turn. Don't worry about the overspeed. Our autopilot is going to be correcting for that. So we're flying a heading of 270 right now. So if you subtract 90 degrees, our crosswind heading is going to be 180, and I'm going to turn to our crosswind heading. Of 180, and we're just gonna let autopilot do its thing as we level off at 5,000 feet. That was a little bit of a rough start because I forgot to turn on the heading select mode, so we didn't hold the heading 270, but it's okay. Everything seems to be stable now. So we're going to level off at 180, and at this point in time, once we reach 180, we are actually situated at the crosswind leg of the circuit. So I'm going to open again the VFR map, just so you guys can see where I am. So you can see we took off from 270, now we're on our crosswind leg, and now we close this, just so that I'm not cheating, Now I'm going to turn to my downwind leg, which is opposite of runway 27, is 090. So again, I'm just taking 180 and I'm subtracting 90 degrees off it. That will give us 090 for our downwind leg. So I'm just going to keep turning, then boom. 090. And for reference, you could look outside the left. You could look outside to the left over here, and the airport should be around to your left. You know, if you once you reach 090, the airport should be to your left-hand side. Although we have cloudy, cloudy settings here, but pretty much there it is, you guys. If I don't know if you could see that, but we pretty much have the runway lights over there, as you can see, and that's the airport. So always make sure, like, if you have visual in the airport, keep an eye on where it is so you don't like lose yourself. But yeah, so again, opening the VFR map, you can see we are perfectly parallel to the runway. We took off from 270, turned our crosswind leg. Now we turn to 090. Now we're flying our base leg over here, and we're situated at 5,000 feet. When I do my approach, guys, just to like teach you, I like staying at 5,000 feet for my downwind leg when I fly VFR. Obviously there are clouds here. We're breaking air law here, but just for this video demonstration, I like being at 5,000 feet when I do my downwind leg on VFR flights. And then I just use pretty much the glide slope to help me determine when I'm going to make my base turn. So like I said, I have the ILS set up here, and when I know to turn to my base leg, is a little pink diamond's gonna show up here, indicating that we have captured the glide slope, and that pink diamond's gonna slowly start to rise. Once it reaches about the first dot here, that's when I actually start to turn towards my my base position. And again, if you want to calculate the base position of this flight, again, you just need to subtract 90 degrees off your downwind heading. So in this case, we're flying our downwind heading of 090. So our base heading for the flight, if you take away 90, is obviously going to be 000 as your heading, because there's no 360 as a heading. So once you get to 359, it just automatically goes to 000. So you can see we have already captured the pink diamond, or with the glide slope rather, and it's showing here with this pink diamond. And sooner or later, this thing is gonna rise, right? And when it rises, when it reaches here, that's when I know, it's time to turn to our base heading, pretty much. And if you guys want to know how to set up the ILS to get these pink diamonds to show up, go ahead and watch my previous videos. I've done an ILS tutorial showing you guys how to set it up, so that you can do this for your reference. If you don't have an ILS system, or you're trying to land in an airport without an ILS system, depending on what aircraft you're flying, if you're flying a Cessna or a Piper Warrior, you'd probably do your downwind heading at 1,000 feet, and then extend a little bit from the airport, and you just sort of like eyeball it, rather, if you don't have any systems to like guide you on when to make your turns. You sort of have to eyeball it, with the VFR map, and your positioning, like looking out the window and stuff, just sort of eyeballing it. But fortunate for us, we have the aid of the glide slope and localizer here, so we pretty much just need to wait until this pink diamond reaches this position, and then we could make our turn to base. Alright, you guys, the pink diamond has now reached, the first dot over here. So this is an indication for me on a perfect time to turn to my base leg. So I'm going to, again, subtract 90 degrees off my heading. So that will give us 000 on our heading for our base leg position. And I'm going to let it settle down at 000 before showing you guys the VFR map, just so you guys know that I'm not cheating or anything like that. Right? So there we are situated at, or we set it at 000. We're going to let the aircraft stabilize at 000 or 360 rather. And then I'm going to show you our position in the VFR map, and then you'll be able to see that we are perfectly in line for our base position leg, right? And please excuse the barking dogs outside. Those are the neighbor dogs, so if you guys can hear it, I do apologize. So yeah, we're pretty much coming up on 000 here, or 360 rather. They're the same thing. I will open the VFR map for reference, and you can see, you guys, if I zoom out a little bit, this is the runway we're landing in. We're 270. We're perfectly perpendicular now to that runway. See? We're perpendicular. And pretty much, again, to get your final approach heading, all you need to do is subtract another 90 degrees off your current heading that you are flying. But in our case over here, we have set up the ILS. So from here, we're going to let autopilot take over so that it lines us up with the localizer and the glide slope as well. So you can see autopilot is doing its work, and we are going to start to turn to our final approach heading, and that should be approximately 270, which is the runway we had initially taken off from, right? We set ourselves at runway 27. Our heading was roughly around 270, and now we are slowly starting to come to our final approach. And when we settle down at 270, I'm gonna open the VFR map again, just so you guys can see our position on the VFR map, right? Just so you know, like I'm not cheating or anything like that. I'm constantly looking at the VFR map and stuff like that. Again, you guys, these headings are pretty much calculated, and they're based off the runway numbers and runway headings. So that's how I like planning my approaches. So again, opening the VFR map, there's the airport, there's our aircraft. We're pretty much facing 270, and we're pretty much going to be lined up with runway 27 because I set up the autopilot to line us up, you know, for that runway. But you guys can see we just subtracted pretty much 90 degrees again from 000. It gives us 270, and now we're on final approach. I don't know why I closed the VFR map. I was going to explain something. So we're going to let autopilot do its thing there while that's happening. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So if I were doing a flight from Manila to Bali, for example, I've never been to Bali. Like I said, I don't know this area. I don't know much about it at all. So how I would probably do my final approach is I would probably, first of all, I'd get the runway I was going to be landing at. So in Bali, you have two runways. You have 27 and you have 09. So depending on which runway air traffic controls gives me, then I'll start to do my calculations and which, you know, sort of traffic pattern I want to do, if it's a left-hand side, if it's a right-hand side. So for example, if they gave me runway 27, then I would start doing my calculations for my downwind leg, and I would just join downwind automatically coming from Manila, for example. So we know that the downwind leg for 270 is 090 because that's the opposite direction that this runway is facing. If this was 270 over here, your downwind leg would just basically be the opposite end of the runway, which is 090. If the air traffic controller gave me 090 over here, and I wanted to join this downwind over here, or it doesn't matter which downwind, but any downwind, then I would just have to set it to 270. It will turn this direction and we'll start facing this direction. So I'd probably think of like, hey, if they gave me 270, for example, I'd say like, okay, I want to overfly the aircraft or the airdrome, join downwind leg 270, make a turn over here, then base, then final. If they gave me 090, I could say, oh hey, I could just automatically come in from here, join base leg over here, right? Join base leg, compute for your base leg, and then final approach. Again, it's these things that you just need to, like, you know, compute for so that you guys can have a better approach, essentially, is what it is. And that's pretty much how I know, like, how I know which heading to turn, you know, to like to my downwind leg for my base leg, because it's pretty much computed before the flight, or before before approach rather, before the final approach, it's already computed in my head as to which heading I'm going to face. It depends on which runway they're going to give me. So yeah, that's pretty much how I do it. And yes, there's a little bit of math involved, but it's pretty much simple math. Like, come on, it's subtracting and adding 90 degrees, pretty much what it is, right? So again, like, they gave me, let's say they gave me 270, right? Sorry, let's do a different example. They gave me 090, and I wanted to join like the base. I would just pretty much add or subtract 90 degrees off the runway heading. This is essentially what it is to get the base position. So how would that work, right? 270. You would get 270. You want to get the base position is, we computed it, 270 less 90. That's going to be 180 as your base position. So if you were coming from the north, heading south, 180. That's your base position for 09. Then you'd come into land. Essentially what it is. I hope it's not overwhelming. I know I'm blabbering. Sometimes, you know, sometimes I can't think straight and I just say things, and like, I don't know if it's making sense to you guys or anything like that, but I hope it does. I hope it does. It's kind of hard to, like, you know, do things on the spot. I don't have a script or anything like that. I don't have a script in front of me, so I kind of just talk and talk and talk. I kind of hope that you guys understand me, so excuse me if I'm being a little bit confusing, but I hope you guys get, like, the general idea. Anyway, going back to the landing here, we can close the VFR map. I think I proved my point. Going back to the landing of this video, you can see the runways right in front of us. Autopilot is doing its thing. We're just, all that's left to do is land the aircraft, pretty much, right? Put the gears down. I was blabbering too much. I didn't even put the gears down. Set final stage of a flap here. We could probably do with autopilot now. Set it to about 150 for our final approach. And yeah, pretty much from here you guys can take manual control of the aircraft if you'd like. Again, at this point in time I'm still using a keyboard, so I tend to leave the autopilot on throughout the landing and just let it land itself. But again, it's completely up to you when you want to shut it down. I'm gonna leave it on because I don't really want to use my keyboard to fly this thing. It's near impossible. And we're pretty much just gonna land this aircraft and end the video. You guys can actually even click away right now, but I'd appreciate if you could stick around till the end if you guys want to see this landing. I know, not the best landing, but again, I'm making do with a keyboard. It's quite hard. Okay, now we are here. Alright, and that's pretty much it, you guys. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. Hope you guys understood, you know, what I was trying to, the point I was trying to get, and the lesson today. I'm sorry if I was, you know, blabbering about useless things or useless topic. Again, my mind tends to get lost in explaining these things. I don't really have a script for it. But for the most part, I hope you guys did understand it. I hope it was simple enough for the beginners out there. And yeah, I just hope you guys find this video helpful, and I hope it helps you out with your flights. So, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, as it will help me out as a content creator and stuff like that. Again, join our Discord server, links in the description below, and if you guys have not already, subscribe and join the colony. Once again, you guys, take care, and I will catch you in the next video.